And now, ladies and gentlemen,
Put your thumbs up and say it's Tickety Boo.
Tickety Boo.
Tickety Boo, Tickety Boo, everything's Tickety Boo.
Tickety Boo, son. Tickety Boo.
Tickety Boo.
Welcome to Tickety Boo. Let's talk about the winter blues. Because let's face it, when the days are short, the nights are long, and your favourite sweater has become your second skin, it's hard to feel cheerful. Whether it's the lack of sunlight, post-holiday slump, or just that meh feeling that creeps in every January, the winter blues are real. But don't worry, we're diving into what causes it, how to brighten your mood, and why hibernating like a bear might not be the answer. So let's get through this winter together. So welcome back to another episode of Tickety Boo as we head into winter and the darker nights and the darker mornings draw in and that thermometer dips. A lot of us find ourselves with our mood dipping as well. So I'm here with Ian, Iona and Barney, and we're going to spend a bit of time talking about why our mood dips, and some people have maybe heard of the phrase SAD. So is it something that you've experienced? I know for me, I definitely notice when the clocks go back and those darker mornings kind of start coming in and the darker nights come in, very slowly I can just feel my mood starting to shift slightly. And I've always thought that's because I'm a summer person and I love the sun and I love blue skies. For you guys, do you notice it? Does it impact you at all?
Definitely.
Yeah?
Yeah, as soon as the clocks go back. I'm not the best at getting out of bed in the mornings. But when it's just pitch black outside, I just want to stay under the duvet.
Although it's mild at the moment, isn't it? I mean, at the time of recording this, we're in the early part of November, and I don't want to jinx it, but yesterday I was outside with a T-shirt on, and I've not actually had to scrape ice off the windscreen of the car. I hate getting up in the morning and scraping ice off the windscreen of the car. So it's quite mild, and I feel for me, at the moment, that's kind of taken the edge off some of the low mood that I go into when it's dark in the morning, dark at night, ice, freezing cold, heating's on full blast, you're in the house, hunkered down for winter. I feel it's a slightly lighter version for me. Obviously, as we head further into winter, that might get worse. But this thing that we're talking about, it's actually a thing, isn't it? It's not, it's not a placebo effect of the darker nights. There's actually science behind this condition.
Yeah, that's right. Seasonal affective disorder.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's surprisingly common. It's very common indeed.
Yeah. So, and a lot of the symptoms are kind of in line with the kind of things you would experience when you were heading into depression.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. The shift in your mood. Have you experienced it, Iona?
Yeah, I kind of like to say I'm like a plant. I need sunshine and not so much of that around in the northern hemispheres in wintertime. I need sunshine, I need water, and I need daylight, and to get outside and moving. And I have noticed, I've lived in a couple of different countries, and it is worse in countries where I'm further north. I've lived in places where I've been nearer the equator, so we still get winter, but it's nothing like living in, up here in Scotland. And so I still get it, but it's not as severe. So I'm definitely affected by that. But I have found that it's learning the skills and how we can support ourselves through this. And I know that you have found some really interesting facts about this.
Really, it was just looking into what the symptoms are, what the causes are, which is effectively a melatonin dysfunction.
Right.
And also, it's a lot of it's just created by lack of sunshine and lack of UVB, which is melatonin and serotonin.
So it's creating a chemical change.
Yes.
On the inside. I mean, I was looking at some of the stats, and according to the NHS, about 2 million people in the UK are actually impacted by this. So those stats are probably not quite right. Let's be honest. I think it impacts more, but we know the science behind it. And we don't want to get too sciencey on this podcast because we just like to shoot the breeze about stuff that impacts us. And for Joe Average sitting here watching it, I, for many years, always noticed my mood dipped in the winter, but I didn't back then know it was because of SAD. What are some of the things that you guys notice first? Because some of the symptoms can actually be very subtle, can't they? They're not, they're not always profound symptoms. So what do you recognise in yourself?
Well, with some of the things people I'm seeing in the therapy room, and some of it myself, trying to keep it anonymous there, it could be sort of just a lack of interest in anything that you get general enjoyment out of.
Yeah.
It could be lack of sex drive, disturbed sleep, all the signs that you generally get with depression, sort of mild underlying anxiety, sense of exhaustion, all that kind of stuff. And for me, when it starts, the reason for me it happens when the clocks go back, or it certainly happens with people I know, is you go out in the morning when it's dark, you go sit in a workplace all day, and then you come home when it's dark.
Yeah.
So your actual exposure to the sun, everything that's natural and...
So we're spending more time in artificial light than in natural daylight, which we know affects our chemical balance and what the brain does. So it's really this lack of natural daylight that's actually causing the problem here. Because like you say, we're waking up in the dark, we're maybe going to an office or sitting in a house working from home in not natural light, and that's what the body's really craving, isn't it?
And definitely, and I think, and it's a subtle change as well, because when the days are longer, we can get outside and walk more. If the weather's good, we're outside, we're going to the park, we're walking our dogs maybe further. We're sort of very much outward bounds, as we say. So I notice it's the shortness in the day where, like yesterday even I was working on the computer and it's like, oh no, I haven't been outside yet today, and it's it's going to be dark in an hour. I need to get out now, and also because I really notice anyway, because I have struggled with depression in the past, that I know that I need to maintain my movement. I need to get outside. These are things that sometimes when I don't feel like doing them, that's the time I really, really need to do them. But it can be subtle, and it's just that window of opportunity to get outside, to move. And also, depending on where you're living, depends on the weather. And that's why I think it's so important that we really highlight for our listeners today. Yeah. Definitely what we've each found actually has supported us in transitioning this time.
Yeah, I suppose it's difficult though, isn't it? If you get up early, depending on what your daytime routine's like, if you're up early to get to work and get the kids to school and things like that, and then you're into work and then you're home and it's dark again, trying to sneak those moments out where you can get outside into daylight. But maybe, if that's not possible, there's other things that we should be doing to kind of compensate for that as well. So maybe as we go through this episode, we should talk about those kind of things as well.
Absolutely. I mean, not being outside, well as fresh air and your UV and your sunshine, it is just basic things that you do for your natural well-being, like exercise, being out, socialising. And I think half the time it's not just the fact that it's dark; in fact, it's cold as well. And I don't like the dark. I don't like the cold at all. So,
cold and dark.
So it kind of makes inside feel all warmy and cosy, and it kind of almost makes you lethargic to not want to go out.
Yeah. So for me, I noticed that the things that I typically enjoy doing during spring and summer start to feel different to me. So 3 times a week I'm going to the gym. I like getting up early and going to the gym ahead of the day, and I've got the feel good factor. But I've noticed on the darker mornings that feeling of getting up in the dark and going to the gym feels very different to me. In fact, it feels that different. I actually don't want to do it. So I'm fortunate enough that I can shift my routine around. So I'm going to the gym in the daylight. That I don't like that car journey in the morning in the pitch black to the gym, and coming out of the gym early and it's still pitch black. So I've changed my routine, and it immediately felt better to me. Now that's okay for me because I'm fortunate that I can shift my routine, and not everybody can do that. But there are little things maybe we can do in altering our routine to make sure that we are getting that light exposure, and we do things differently rather than just try to go, let's just soldier through this and just keep doing what we always do, even though I'm not feeling great, because we can make it feel a bit better.
Yeah.
You know, have you adjusted the way that you do things during this time, or do you just tend to keep doing what you've always done?
Well, my commitments don't change according to whether it's light or dark, but there is a bit more of an importance in just getting outside, like morning light, getting up, walking the dogs, maybe just walk the kids to school, but generally just get out there and make sure all the things that you generally do to maintain your well-being, i.e. diet, exercise, speaking to people, just make sure that you get on, because at this time of year it's even more important than ever before, because you don't realise it, but there's all kinds of chemical changes going on inside you that are kind of, that could potentially compound the effects of not living well.
Yeah, well, if you sat inside with the heating on full, eating rubbish food, not exexercising, getting no daylight.
That's it, death scrolling.
Doom scrolling, just going, I'm going to binge watch Netflix through winter and I'm going to hibernate.
Yeah.
And as a woman, I want to add into this conversation for women who were peri and in menopause and coming out, we have that added layer of the hormones, and so that's a whole that's a whole show in itself. But I do know that because I'm aware that I've been going through the changes, I'm now out the other side of menopause, the changes that I have made, I've actually got the proof to prove that they work. I was showing before we started recording the podcast that I've actually been going and getting blood work. I've been working with someone to do this, and I know not everybody can, but I have found that my vitamin D levels have gone skyrocketed, which is normally. And if we think about it, the last time I had my blood work done was 4 months ago. So we were at summertime, and they were really low, and that's in the peak of summer. Mind you, we do live in Scotland. But now, they're brilliant, they're really high, and so it's fine. And it's not about the brands, but, you need to do your research and find out, because not all vitamins are created equal.
Before you go away from that, that's really interesting that you've used tangible data to back this up. So your vitamin D levels were below normal?
They were really low, so
right.
I was still okay, but considering that was 4 months ago, so I think it was in June.
Okay.
And then I've just had the blood work done last month. So there was 4 months in between.
Okay.
And there was a difference in the person I'm working with. I'm taking some different vitamins. There's red light therapy. There's various things I'm doing, and I have doubled my vitamin D levels.
Okay, well, can you talk to us about that? Because that really interests me, because, there's something here. You've done something and it's worked, and some of this stuff may help some of the people listening. Would you mind just sort of sharing on what you've done?
Yeah, absolutely. So I decided to seek a naturopathic doctor.
Right.
And knowing that I wanted to try and alleviate symptoms, and I also wasn't really sure where I was in the menopausal journey, plus because things can change, and with all the work that we've been getting done and from the results, and I've also done genome testing as well, so that's the company that's 23andMe. There's a side arm of that you can actually see genetically where you stand. So for me, it was really important for me to research about where my hormones are and what I would be predisposed, you know the word, predisposed to certain, because if I was going to do HRT or not. So I was really, really looking to have an MOT. And the biggest changes that have really been noticeable from 4 months to now, my vitamin D, I can't remember the exact numbers, but let's just say I was at a 100 and now I'm at a 250.
Okay, so what exactly did you do to get that up?
Literally took a really good quality vitamin D. That's it, and it's just one a day.
So how do we know we're taking good quality vitamin D? That might sound like a really stupid question, because you can go on Amazon, you can go online. How do we know what's good and what's not good? I know we need to do research, but
I would suggest doing research, and also there's so much filler in a lot of these vitamins, and some of them aren't even what they say they are. So I would not buy it off the I would not necessarily buy it off the supermarket shelf. Yes, there may be some there, so please don't write in and say, but this works for me. I was going with recommendations that the person I'm working with was suggesting. Also, when I've done this before a number of years ago when I lived in America, I was seeing somebody again, but with recommendations. I also had I was going to a really good quality nutrition shop. So then I was talking to somebody there who understood all about the herbal remedies. So yeah, I was seeking alternative therapies, we could say.
Okay.
People who know their stuff, so they're not trying to sell me their product. And also I wasn't just trying to buy the cheapest one on the shelf. So you can look into the ingredients if there's a lot of chalk. Also for somebody like me, I found a really good quality vitamin D.
Right.
Just one a day. It's not a huge amount. Also, I need to have a really good quality. I'm on a menopausal multivitamin, and that's got B vitamins in, and it's got to be methylated. Not all of us can process your regular vitamin Bs. It's quite simple. You can figure that out by Googling it online, and you'll find that, I probably don't process or metabolize the B vitamins.
Right.
So there's a methylated, so a good quality vitamin B or multivitamin. The other thing is 5-HTP. I've been taking that, and it doesn't have to be huge changes, but I mean, I've got the proof in my blood work.
And talk to me about the red light therapy.
Oh my gosh, yeah, I'm so glad you brought that up again. So, as I'm sure a lot of people will be very familiar, or it's starting to be talked about a lot more about red light therapy. Now, I just want to give a little warning here. There are some places that have sunbeds that say they have red light therapy in the facial part of it. For red light therapy to actually be doing its work, it's not going to be like the cheaper versions that you can buy on Amazon, or maybe the low number. So you need it over like 1,000 or 2,000 megahertz, or I don't know what the number is, but yeah, something that's going to be like a 200 or 250 isn't going to deliver the red light therapy to your skin. So again, do your research. There are a couple of companies that have like really great tabletop versions. So you don't you'll see them, and you can spend up to £1,000 on these, quite frankly, and they're big sort of half screen ones. You can have it on the wall, or you can have it go over the bed. But you can get a tabletop one, and they are affordable. And for those of us who do struggle, this is amazing. It makes all the difference. And yeah, we're not plugging any products in particular here. We're just saying, do your research, talk to the people in the know, find somebody in your area. Don't go down the path of endless Google. Like, really reach out to someone. Send us in an email and ask us.
Well, I've just ordered a lamp that it actually kept appearing on my social media feed, and I was reading a lot of comments from people that had success with it, and it's actually going to replace my alarm clock next to my bed, 'cause it's got an alarm clock in it. And what you do is you tell it what time you want to wake up, and there's various program modes, but what it does is it very slowly starts to introduce light before you're awake. So it's almost like the curtains are open and dawn is breaking. It replicates that, so the body's starting to adjust as you're coming out of your sleep cycle. And I did a bit of research into it, and I could only find positive reviews about it, and it wasn't a significant investment, so it's something I'm happy to try. So we can use technology. There are pieces of equipment and lights that we can buy.
My son actually has been using one of those as well.
Really?
Yeah.
Right, okay. Yeah. So, we can try little things like that. But what I'm also doing as well is I've shifted my diet slightly. So I'm taking in more sort of omega and healthier fish and things like that to kind of shift my diet that will help me as well. And fortunately, I've got Barney here snoozing next to me, is between client sessions, nipping out, and even if it's for a quick 5-minute walk, just because even if it's on a bit of a cloudy, overcast day today, that still gives us the light that we need to help us regulate.
And I'm so glad you said that too, because yes, I've just shared that I've been on a journey and I am taking vitamins. But if you're going to take vitamins and then you're going to live on pie and chips every day, you're defeating the purpose. It has to be a lifestyle change. It's got to be. It's not it's not a diet that you're on. It's not a short fix. It's a whole lifestyle. So so it's the movement. It's the nutrition. What are you putting into your body? It's getting outside. And also finding things that bring you joy in doing those. And as Ian was already saying too, what he does in the summertime is it starts to shift too as the days get shorter. And it's find those things that bring you joy. And if it's about being outside and you can't quite get out, then start looking into ways you can implement that and bring things in.
Yeah, I was just going to touch on a couple of things that you guys have said. Like, one is it's actually women are 3 times more likely to suffer from winter blues or SAD.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. And I just thought it was fascinating that you had low vitamin D levels in June, in the summer. That's really unusual because it's actually the UV light hitting your skin that produces the vitamin D, which is actually vitamin D3. Which kind of gets absorbed, and it helps regulate serotonin as well, which is your happiness. So that's quite a bit of it. So the fact that you were saying that you'd managed to boost your vitamin D levels, I just thought was absolutely brilliant.
So within 4 months, it's over double.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That is. But see, I think part of the process of this is if you're listening to this and going, "Oh wow, like it actually, I definitely am aware that I feel the negative effects of SAD, you know, the darker nights and the darker mornings." In my view is, if you know you're impacted by that, don't wait till you start to feel it. Get ahead of the curve. So maybe in August or September, just as we're heading into that period, shift your routine slightly so you're ahead of it. You're trying to head it off at the pass, because what you do during the summer to keep you feeling in a better place isn't going to necessarily work for you over the autumn and the winter, is it? So be proactive, don't be reactive, don't wait till you start to feel it.
Well, and as Ian's already shared, the symptoms are very similar to depression. And so if we wait until we're actually in it, it's not that it's too late, but it's harder to get out of that rut. And as somebody who has struggled with depression myself in the past, that's why this year I really made a conscious decision to be really proactive. And also, and I didn't know that fact that women are so much more susceptible to this. So I would really encourage our listeners, men and women, to be proactive about this. And if not, like if you haven't already started being proactive, then you start today as making small steps and making it manageable.
Yeah, absolutely agreed. And again, just touching on a couple of points, I didn't want to disturb you as you're talking, but a couple of points like the lamps. Only needs 10 to 15 minutes a day with a reasonable quality lamp, about 10,000 lux.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it was the 10,000 lux. That's the one it has to be.
Now, even on an overcast day, you're talking 30,000 lux. It's completely different. Even your natural daylight is just so much more intense. You're not going to replace that anywhere. But 15 minutes a day with one of these lamps, that's all it takes. And the sweet spot is about 15 minutes.
Yeah, so which would be really useful for these people that we're talking about that are up early into an office or, you know, working from home and not getting much daylight. That they could be working or doing something and getting the benefit.
Yeah. And if you have a tabletop one, and it is honestly, because I've been told as well, it's only 10 to 15 minutes a day that you need. And if that's one small step, it's going to make all the difference.
That's it. Or maybe open your blinds. If you're working in an office environment with your blinds shut and you've got no natural light, your melatonin is still producing, so you're naturally getting sleepy and lethargic.
Yeah.
So, you know what I mean? That, by the way, that's another important point. If you're using the lamps, don't use them late at night, because what it does, it stops your melatonin production,
which stops you feeling tired.
And that's what.
Yeah, sleep. So that's going to impact your sleep pattern.
So so that's why I use the term morning light, because generally you use it in the morning to set yourself up for the day, and it's not going to disturb your sleep pattern.
Yeah. Good point. I'm glad you said that.
Yeah, don't be sitting there reading a book at 10 o'clock at night going, why can't I get to sleep?
Those guys on Tickety Boo told me that this would be good.
yeah. Every night before bed, I put my lamp on, I just can't sleep.
I think the key thing about this conversation, though, was to really kind of normalise what we're feeling in this situation, because some people may go, oh, God, maybe I am a bit depressed, or there's something wrong with me, my mental health is on a bit of a decline. But actually, you're just feeling a bit of a drag that a lot of people are impacted by, and the key thing is to recognise it early on and actually to take preventative action.
Yeah, that's it. It's 100%. It is. I don't. We try not to use the word disorder too much, but it is actually a disorder, and it does. There are actually chemical things happening inside you that are causing this to happen. So you're not
Yeah.
just being miserable, but the good thing about that is the things that you can do to mitigate it, i.e. your lamps, your vitamin D3. Now, we
Yeah.
were talking about, I use a good quality vitamin D3 and I use it alongside with K2 because what happens is D3 produces calcium and you just want that calcium just to be distributed around your body. So I use something with a combination of K2 as well. So that's me personally. I'm not qualified to say that out loud, but I'm very big on using good quality supplements. If I do, I won't just put anything inside of me. So, yeah. So
Yeah, I think it's an important conversation to have because what you don't want to do is spiral and really go down into low mood, and then it becomes something more than this SAD that you're experiencing. You do go down into some form of depression.
How do you tell if it is depression or SAD?
Well, the thing is, I always say to people is if something shifts inside of you, take a look back at the days, weeks, months in the run up to that. What's changed? Have you significantly changed your diet? Have you had a significant event happen to you? And if you're like, well, no, I haven't, or there's nothing that I can think of, then it's not unreasonable to go, well, maybe it's because it's darker mornings, darker nights, and it's colder.
Yeah.
So if you just feel like this thing just creeps up on you, but there's no real tangible evidence around you to go, it's because of this. We're not saying it's probably this, but there's a high likelihood you're just being impacted by the shift in the season.
Exactly. If it's seasonal, then it's. If you've got a lot of other things happening, don't just write it off and say, it's okay, when the weather gets better, I'll be fine.
Yes.
If you need help, get help.
Yeah.
If there's a lot of other things happening, don't just write it off to the fact that there's not a lot of daylight. There is a balance. It is a real thing.
Yeah.
But we don't want people just saying, oh no, I'll be okay in February.
This might sound silly as well, but little things that we do. So if you are impacted by this and you start to do these things, whether you get a lamp or you make the effort to spend more time outside and you shift in your diet and things like that, don't then go and reduce all of that by watching the most depressing TV and. Do you know what I mean? Because that impacts your mood. If your mood is dipped and then you're watching some really depressing documentary on something or whatever, that's going to impact your mood as well. So be careful of information. When I used to work in IT years ago, we had a phrase, garbage in, garbage out.
Yeah.
You put garbage in, you're going to feel garbage coming out. So feed your mind with nourishing stuff that uplifts you and boosts your mood, and music and things like that as well. So get the balance across all of the bases to make you feel good. So yeah, that's really important as well. And we've talked about this before, the whole doom scrolling thing as well, which leads you into comparisonitis and all of that. So maybe just shift some of your habits and alter your routine a little bit, and you can actually make big impact on your life.
Yeah.
Huge impact. No unhealthy coping mechanisms.
Yeah, 100% agree. When your environment is potentially going to bring you down, just do things that bring you joy and make you happy.
Absolutely.
I have to say, I've started. I don't watch a lot of telly in our house. We don't even have a normal TV that plugs in. But what I go to watch is actually Friends. I started watching the reruns of that.
Right.
And one of my son's friend's girlfriend was in the house the other day, and she was like, oh, was that, because I was watching it, and I don't think that they realise how popular it was when we came out. But yeah, it actually makes me laugh. I'm laughing out loud watching reruns of Friends. And yeah, so that's my feel-good factor. I'm not watching the stuff that's going to bring me down.
It's Only Fools and Horses for me.
There you go.
Yeah.
Do you have quite a show?
I'm just thinking of you with a TV that doesn't plug in on an exercise bike, generating, I think, 2 birds in one stone.
Treadmill. Run quicker. The
That's
telly's
generating the
energy.
energy. Oh no, for me it's Only Fools and Horses.
There you go. 2 for Fools and Horses, 1 for Friends.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it's seasonal. It was an important conversation that we have. If you find yourself impacted by it, try some of these things. If you've tried some stuff and it's worked well, please share it with us in the comments. And as always, if you're listening on Spotify or Apple, or you're even watching us on YouTube, please click the bell, so the notification icon when we get new episodes launched. Drop us a comment. It helps us keep putting episodes out like this, and we really appreciate you watching and listening. So thanks very much, and we will catch you in the next episode of Tickety Boo.
If you or someone close to you needs to access mental health support, please contact your GP, or if it's out with normal office hours, get in touch with NHS 24 on 111. Alternatively, contact the Samaritans on 116 123. All calls are free of charge from any phone. You can also find more support information on the Tickety Boo website, ticketyboopodcast.co.uk.